Hey folks, guns, gear, on target training out here in Oregon. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Today, I thought we'd talk about braced pistols and what now is okay, allowed, not allowed, by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Most people just call it the ATF. But the ATF is a government agency that allegedly regulates what is acceptable for alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. In this case, we're only talking about firearms. Many years ago, in response to the need of a handicapped veteran, someone came up with the idea of developing a stabilizing brace that would allow a pistol to be shot with the brace attached to the arm, allowing control for the handicapped shooter. The brace, like this, when attached to a pistol, was considered to be a braced pistol. The ATF for a number of years said that's fine as long as the intent of the brace is not to attach it to your shoulder. So through various iterations, they said, yeah, well, it is okay as long as it's not intended for that initially. Well, politics being what it is, the agency, under pressure from the current administration, decided they didn't like braced pistols. Now, there's no scientific evidence or data that indicates braced pistols are used in mass shootings. Most mass shootings actually involve a handgun without a brace. However, for politically motivated purposes, the ATF said, if you have this attached to this, you will now be considered to own a short-barreled rifle, and therefore you must register it. So there is this amnesty period that started on the 31st or so of January, 4 months, to register via a Form 1 through the ATF background check, which is fine, fingerprints, the whole thing, and then you have a registered short-barreled rifle. If you don't want to do that, you can buy a new upper that's 16-inch in length, making it a rifle, or you can take what you've paid for and was fully legal and destroy that. You can no longer have it attached here, even though I'm a handicapped person, and even though that aids me in my ability to shoot two-handed, especially when I'm shooting with my non-dominant hand, my left hand, which has some challenges and problems as my left hand and arm do. So right now we're in this holding period. There are multiple court cases and legal proceedings that are ongoing. Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Coalition, a whole bunch of other groups are bringing suit. At least 25 states have also brought some sort of suit forward against the federal government, saying this is a direct violation of multiple issues. One of the biggest being the fact that the ATF did not follow the procedure for rule changes. That procedure requires public comment. What the ATF did is it allowed public comment around its original proposed ruling, but then scrapped that and made something else that is completely arbitrary and capricious. So it's impossible to meet the criteria. The only way to meet the criteria as far as the ATF is concerned is for you to destroy or buy, so destroy the brace, buy a new upper, making it a rifle. At that point, you can have whatever you want as far as a brace, or in that case, a stock you can even have. Makes no difference. But in the interim, over the next, I believe, several months and ultimately be years before we get to the point where we actually know what the outcome is. Best case in the short term will be for a judge, a federal judge, to put a stay as this works its way through the court, not allowing the ATF to go around Congress, which they've done. Only Congress can impose laws. And in a recent Supreme Court ruling against the EPA, the Supreme Court basically said, you may not simply create laws by going around Congress through an administrative function. You can't do that. Nevertheless, the ATF is plowing 100% ahead. I know and have known ATF agents. They're good folks. Most of them think this is just politics, once again leveraging agencies under their political masters. And it is really just ludicrous. So what do you do in the interim? Well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you any kind of advice. My recommendation is you take a breath, you watch the court cases, you see what's happening, you take your braces off, you make a decision that's best for you about destroying them or storing them somewhere far away, because really can't be anywhere close to the pistol, because if these two things come together, instant evil will happen. It'll make law-abiding citizens into freaks. The worst thing this type of administrative overreach does is it creates the potential of legal liability for tens of millions of law-abiding citizens. It puts people like me and you in the crosshairs of potentially really heavy legal jeopardy. Now, that, I hope, will be seen by the courts, and they will say, we're staying this because it's a violation of the Second Amendment. There are no laws. I mean, if you understand the Bruen case, that really goes back to saying, did laws say at the time of the founding of the Constitution and the country that, okay, we are going to have this regulation to prevent you from bearing arms, and the components that we've talked about, like that is the arm. This works in conjunction with the pistol, making it easier and safer for many people like me with a handicap to shoot. So that's my 2 cents on this. Obviously, we're watching, as I know, millions of Americans are watching to see how this works its way through the courts. Keep in mind, though, that you cannot predict what will happen. Judges right now are completely ignoring the Heller case, the Bruen case, the Staples case. I mean, if you have any understanding of those, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're just ignoring it, and they're saying, even though the Supreme Court has said this is the way you must interpret the law, they're just going right ahead, and they're doing whatever they want. So here in Oregon, we have the same kind of thing. I have no faith any longer that judges will follow precedent on either side, right? I'm not picking sides here. I'm just saying we just don't know. So take the time, educate yourself, do the right thing, comply the way you feel is best for you. You know, for me, I'm law-abiding citizen. I'm the person that's going to do what I'm instructed to do because I want to comply with the law. Of course, we know that criminals and people who already are intent on breaking the law are not going to follow any of this. They're going to go ahead and do whatever they want. This will not make anyone safer. This will not fix gun violence. This will not address or even make any impact in shootings, murder, rape, assault. It'll make none. But it will make a group of people, elites, who believe they know what's best for you. It'll make them feel good about themselves. because they know what you should do and what I should do, because they live in their gated communities. They have armed security. They have the full power of wealth and political connections. The rest of us don't. So we have to do the best that we can. Well, folks, really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. Finally, and as always, stay safe.